we see what happens. But like,
Okay.
I've set up now a gallery of rogues Twitter list, which has been very helpful.
And it's all of our favorite boys and girls, right?
It is, yes. Who's in currently? It's all the big boys from Volt. Volt has gotten very dead. The whole thing, like, I forgot I was still a member of their like Facebook group, like their
I forgot that
internal.
you're just a member of Volt in general.
In general, yeah, 'cause
that you voted for them.
no fucking activity comes out. So my gallery of rogues thing is now just like the members of the three big boys from Volt.
What's his name? Buzelaga,
Colombe, and Venzon, Andrea Venzon.
I don't know who that is.
He was the Italian one who's like was the
Mamma
part
mia.
who was the part of the Italian party who fucking failed on their ass. Then as well as like Guy Verhofstadt and like the editors from Politico.eu, because they had a big fucking meltdown on Twitter. Which I guess if we're still talking about that leads us to the whole Brussels bubble thing, because fucking hell, I love Brussels bubble Twitter. It's so depressing.
I just love the Brussels bubble in general because my only contact with it was through my last job. And it's just very glassy-eyed, just to say the least. But it's not nearly as psychotic as the U.S. is yet. Like, I think that they wish that they were. I think they wish they had that they had that much clout.
Yep.
But since no one cares, aside from people then who are within the Brussels bubble, it's just well, yeah, because you're a nerd and you have you have another podcast that deals with this shit. But I always just kind of get the vibe that it's just like everyone just like cosplaying Europe. They're like, this is what it should look like, but we actually have no fucking power.
Oh, for sure.
But there was, and I told you about this, that there was that book that was like that they sold at my old work, that they published at my old work. That was like Brussels at night or something like that. And the cover,
Brussels After Dark, or whatever.
Yeah, some shit like that. And it was like, this is where the real politics happen. And it was just kind of like, you guys fucking wish. Like, you're going around like fucking Guy Verhofstadt being the Coke Zero version of Austin Powers.
No one asked for this.
But the thing about the Brussels bubble is not, it's sad, but it's just a reflection of the kind of sadness, at least the sadness I feel about all of European politics, because what was that thread that you sent? Well, whatever they're arguing about. Oh yeah, being the
one prayer to Europe,
being the Chrysaliza of Europe.
Basically. Yeah.
But like that exists, and fucking Chrysaliza is making what, like 10 figures? Wait, is that a lot? I gotta count in my head.
10 figures? Yeah, that's like.
I mean, it is a lot.
His money's good, but it's not that good.
Chrysaliza is like the way Jay-Z presents himself. He's like, I had to struggle, I had to come up for this. And Chrysaliza is saying the same thing. Like, yeah, but I can only help the blogosphere as a billionaire. Like, I can't help them when I'm poor. I'm
just imagining Chris Cillizza. That's his name, right? Yeah, just like flexing like how like Migos does, is just like doing that with like a just gold grill in, just
the Dr. Evil thing.
Yeah, the fucking Dr. Evil thing where they show their grill.
It's a lot of Austin Powers this
like just admitting his grift eventually, like at the end of it is like exactly like I had to hustle hard for this, but it is just knowing that then it was like, if I'm enough of a piece of shit, I'm gonna be able to like afford that Maybach I've had my eyes on, or whatever fucking people.
Except
in the
I don't
DC
think he
bubble.
gets cool things like a Maybach. He's like, I got these new Nike running shoes.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah.
Swag. But my point about the Brussels, and I think Twitter makes this very clear, where because Twitter has a format, and because especially whatever politics and journalists and whatever, they all like congregate on Twitter for some reason, like especially groups that
they hate it. They like hate. Why are they on there?
I understand for some reasons it's like a career thing. You got to get noticed or whatever. But some people, especially famous people, you don't have to be on there. You just I don't know. Everyone just agreed that this is the thing they're going to do, and so you have little groups. I don't know. So to take Europe for example, Twitter not as big in Europe. I mean, I think it's bigger than. There are like corners that I don't know about. But in general, you have like the Brussels bubble where they're, I think, kind of aping the American format where they know, okay, this is the way things run in London or New York.
They want to be
Washington,
Washington, D.C. Yeah.
But it's just like you said, it was a pile-on, but it happened over 14 hours. So it's just like a very quiet, like, and they're this city's on the come up, you know. But in the same way,
it's only been 1,600 years. Now's our time.
They actually are rebuilding all of downtown Brussels to make it like a big mall or something.
Yeah,
that's the only.
And,
like that literally sounds like fucking just Saudi energy at that point. Of like, there's nothing to do here. You know what we're gonna do with this like wealth that we've just curated from bombing half the world, and we're gonna make a fucking mall.
Yeah. If they demolish mini Europe, I'm fucking
10 euro flights to Brussels. But my point is, then we too, with our like,
Brussels
small
like
number of
Riyadh,
listeners,
baby.
like, we're like, you have Chapo that can like leech onto an American scene because there's enough people who are like reading the news, and politics operates in this different way in the United States that it's more of a, not even an everyday thing, but the news itself becomes a product of consumption. It's just like so much smaller in scale in Europe, and then proportionally not only the people we laugh about and who are ridiculous and posting about, like, it's very serious when I'm writing about fashion and politics. Okay, there have been books written about this. We too,
to be fair,
us
Stefan
too,
Georg
but
did that.
We are proportionally smaller. We're like, this is ridiculous, and us and 10 other people are like, yep, don't know what to make of that.
Robert's 20, okay.
And I'm not saying one's better than the other, but it's like, okay, they're both like very, I mean, obviously, like, I would say the word, like, they're both spectacular relationships to politics, in the sense that one doesn't mean you have more political agency or control. Like, you can make an argument that it's people are more connected to politics in Europe. I'm not sure. I haven't made my decision. But, like, what's amazing about the United States is that there's this it's very Foucauldian in the sense that there's just like a million things to say about politics and to argue about. Whereas here it's just kind of like an old Western town. There's one saloon. You can kind of walk in, talk some shit, and it's a big deal. It's not a bustling city.
If you haven't already heard, you probably have already maybe listened to 10 minutes of this episode, because I'm probably not going to end up cutting this at the end. But you're with you're Späti boys minus Yulia this week. If you didn't know, you're listening to Corner Späti. Yes. And so does myself, Nick, joined with Kieran.
Yo.
And Rob.
It's because our voices are in our ears right now, in my head. I can't.
Then take one out. Do you not know that trick?
Sounds weird.
It does not sound weird. It works a lot better to leave one in so that you can monitor yourself, because you're not going to talk into the microphone if you don't do that.
I'm thinking.
Fuck off. Yeah, but again, yeah, if you listen to probably the first, whatever this is going to end up being cut down to the first 10 minutes of us going back and forth about this, we're talking media, we're talking Europe, we're talking probably Germany in this sense. I don't know. Europe is a big fun place that we only talk about Germany in. It's the only country that matters.
We need to correct that.
Yeah, I mean, it really, like, I think just in the mix of you know, looking back at people that we've talked about, you know, friends we've made along the way, there's just been one boy who's just been fucking on one this week.
Yes.
And Kieran has no idea what he's saying.
I don't, but I can give you the story of how this week began and how this episode came about, because we had like a really smart episode planned about, like, I don't know, fiscal policy and shit. And we decided that was
monetary policy.
Monetary policy, yeah. Sorry. Lack of fiscal policy. Yes? Ish?
No.
God damn it. All right.
The European Central Bank doesn't do that.
Fuck it. Okay, spoilers. But anyway, we had like a smart shit plan, but then we realized that was for nerds. So
as you can clearly tell, we were very prepared for that episode. That is not coming your way.
So what happened instead was Kieran got into like a Twitter argument with one of the editors of Politico.eu, and that led to like me showing Rob Russell's bubble Twitter, which I think he's just very upset and depressed about. And then
I'm depressed because it's like looking into a mirror. And you realize how small you are. You know, you're not there in the major leagues, you know, adding near a tendon. You're just like,
I'm sorry, buddy. We're here adding like Josep Borrell, from which all I can tell by his Twitter feed, he does not know how to use this website. I keep thinking, like, I'm waiting for him to like tweet his own name because he was trying to search for himself. Like, that's the level I'm at with Josep Borrell. But that led me to
I don't know.
but like that led me down the route of like, all right, there's some shitbags on here that like tweet regularly that I am not paying enough attention to. And one of those was our boy John Meatbeater.
King shit.
King.
Oh no, just to kind of like second that. Whenever then kind of like navigating European media and politics and stuff like that, I just kind of like get the feeling that like everyone is Tommy Wiseau.
I mean, that's what I like to think. Like, I know some of these people that I was in arguments with are like from the UK and like have perfectly good English, like natural native English.
No, it has
accents.
nothing to do with it has nothing to do with how they speak English. It's
Oh,
just,
okay.
like, it has to do with simply in the sense of that, like the way that they like hold themselves. Like, yeah, I'm like the greatest fucking actor and director or whatever.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna fucking show you because I work at I don't know political.eu is the like
Springer.
Yeah, it's just it's a stupid offshoot of an already horrible magazine.
Yeah.
That then everyone who works for that is like an absolute no-named idiot, but they think that they're the most important person in that moment in time whenever they like tweet or write an article that is just. I mean, we've read that one about Poland before, about just the absolute just dog shit that gets published by them.
Yeah,
and they like in that sense of because they got published in this stupid fucking publication that they're like, I'm on top in the world, man. And that's very like that is Tommy Wiseau energy, more than anything, except for that then Tommy Wiseau is actually like not a horrible person. Maybe he is, I don't know.
Yeah, I like to like the way I was imagining it is I like to imagine they all sound like Tommy Wiseau. That definitely helps when I'm like reading the tweets. It makes it a bit more bearable.
What's going on in Poland is crazy.
It's crazy in a good way.
You guys ever read those? I think it's on like normie Facebook posts and stuff. You ever read those like maybe from a coworker or something, and they're like, say what you will about such and such, but I think it's pretty cool that you can go to a bar and have a conversation with a Dane, an Italian,
Tommy Wiseau,
a Polish person, a French person, and me. And then you realize what they're talking about is they're all Politico editors. Like their dream of this beautiful united Europe. They're like, yeah, we may disagree, but at least we're all here talking it through.
I just love going around Brussels, Belgium.
not even that, because the really sad thing about Brussels as this catch-all term for like all EU institutions is it barely takes up like 10% of that city. Like the rest of it's just like normal Belgian shit. And like
I think the thing that I love about the EU bubble, the zip code is 1,000. Like every fucking EU thing, whenever you want to send a letter to them or whatever, it's the really simple address and then 1,000.
Nice.
It's king shit. They thought that out so well.
Yeah, listen to my other podcast. We try to be a little cool. It's called Keeping It 1000. I wish I lived in Brussels.
I think I've told
Rob's gonna fucking learn like what
Belgian French
now, and just like be that one guy who just has to like tell you just like how cool Belgian culture is. It's like Belgian beer is the best. Bro.
Yeah, can be in EU Abu.
This is what I say every weekend, but in my small town of Fulda, there's nobody to talk about the EU with.
Yeah.
These places exist too. There are fucking people who exist like that.
There is. They are dreaming the world of like.
I think Fulda's kind of big, but it's just a funny name.
But it is like their political ambitions is what sounds like the punchline to a very shitty joke of just like, yeah, a German and a Dane walk into a bar and they're all my friends. God damn it. Yeah, so it was an upsetting tweet thread that, as Nick said, like over the space of 12 hours got like 20 replies, and they all the great thing about that is they all considered that a pylon, and the guy called in his like managing editor to like try and school everyone, and They were all very upset with the fact that like 20 people replied to them. And then he like quote retweeted one of them, be like, oh, look, you got my editor involved now. She's angry. And it's just like 0 likes or replies.
What's the like Belgian or like I'm not Belgian. These are the guys from the UK. What's the EU bubble equivalent of like that Elon Musk thing of like doing Adderall and red wine? Probably the same.
It's probably the exact same, yeah.
It's Ritalin and Alepha.
Yeah, just probably just better red wine. I don't know. But yeah, so that was the side of Twitter that I got involved in, and then
What was the fight that you got in?
oh, basically, okay. So they have like a Brussels playbook email thing that they send out to everyone who subscribes. I receive it, and
Because you're a real head.
I'm real head. I'm in this.
Kieran didn't mean to sign up. He was just in Brussels, and he went to a Politico hosted event where they all talk about polls and they do trivia about the European Union.
Polls like the people or polls like the thing? Because knowing Politico,
That was actually
could have been either.
It was wordplay. It was kind of like it was one of those classic Brussels gaffes.
Oh yeah. Oh fucking bro.
Because they spelled out pole as in Polish person, but then they put in the extra L in brackets in between. And it's see what they're doing.
Triple bracket.
Kieran has told me in confidence, I'm going to say it on the show, he wishes he was the Harry Enton of Europe.
Yeah. I want that Habsburg energy. The Habsburgs were MEPs as well for the CSU. That will come up later.
Wait, what?
Yeah.
Everyone in the CSU is has fun something in their name.
The
Yeah,
CSU
true.
is weirdly like
And they all paid for someone to finish their PhD for them and write their dissertation.
That is the purest German energy, and that's for every fucking.
That's European energy. Man.
Yeah, yeah.
Everyone in Brussels is that.
But the thing that I love about
The entire Spanish government was taken down for that.
fucking this is cool. That's just true hustler mentality. That's fucking living 1000.
As living 1000.
Yo,
Is it too late to rename the podcast?
oh fuck, we're gonna move to Brussels.
Yeah.
I was keeping it 1000.
Keeping it 1000. Yeah. But
Keeping it 1000 goes wrong.
the CSU is weirdly like the modern political successor of the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
No, but it's just Bavarian. It's just Bavarian, baby. It's the way that it is.
I think
they were never part of the Austrian-Hungarian
I know.
Empire.
I think a bunch of Austro-Hungarians swept in there and convinced them that they were all Bavarians.
True. They
Yeah.
are Catholic.
Because like all the Habsburgs were MEPs for the CSU for like ages. Otto von Habsburg, the last like crown prince of Austro-Hungary, was an MEP from like 1979 to 1999, and then died in 2011. He was the guy who started the Pan-European Union, which is like a Christian supremacist European federalist organization.
Cool.
Yeah. And
So
like
he wanted to make the Austro-Hungarian Empire.
yeah,
again.
and then his daughter failed to become an MEP and is now like an MP in Sweden.
Oh fuck, pouring one out.
We lost one there. But yeah,
That's the thing that I love about the European Union for like European Parliament. Like you can just like move to a different country, like not have any connection to it whatsoever, and like I'm here. This is the real me. I'm fucking Portuguese now. I'm gonna run as an MVP.
But that happens in the United States all the time.
Yeah, but you have to like register yourself within a certain amount of time, and then have like you have to live there technically. I know that because like Hillary Clinton went to you technically have to be within a state for I think like a 6-year period or something. You have to then plan you got to plan it out. You can't just hop into like I think my politics would do really well in New Hampshire. And then just like pop into New Hampshire one day and be like, I'm home, baby.
Yeah, but just imagine if Rand Paul, wherever he represents, and then he just came
Kentucky.
along. Kentucky. Okay, imagine Rand
He's
Paul.
perfect there. He's never moving.
Yeah, but like just imagine he was there being like, I'm the representative of Kentucky, and he speaks like French.
Yeah, well, that was the thing that was so funny is that like when
I am one of you.
because Giannis ran in Germany and does not live here, does not speak German, and to be fair, I hope he never learns German because that would have been like the coolest thing of a guy who's just like vehemently against the German government, just like getting a seat within it. And I really do like that. I don't know. I just really like how just dumb that system is because one, it just shows how not serious the European Parliament is.
Yeah, a little bit.
Of that like literally tomorrow. I can move, maybe not tomorrow, but I can move within a very short amount of time. Or just claim that then I live somewhere or that I want to represent somewhere. Like, I'm feeling like I really connect with, I don't know, Flemish people or whatever. I'm moving to fucking Wallonia. I don't know.
No, that's where they hate Flemish people.
Well, fuck. I don't know Europe well enough, but I'm gonna run as a Flemish candidate in Wallonia as an MEP. I'm gonna win.
Y'all ever wake up just feeling Czech? I know I do.
I mean, like literally though, like you could like think like okay, next European election, I'm gonna run as the fucking MEP for the Czech Republic, and you could actually win.
You just like watch.
Let's fucking do this.
No, we have to do it in Slovakia because the turnout rate's like 11%. We have a good chance.
Oh, okay, fine. Well, they were one country at one point.
Yeah, we can do it. But
I'm sorry that you feel more ethnically Czech, Rob, or more culturally Czech. I don't know.
Yeah, you just watched all the like reverse harem porn they do. It's like I have to go there. I have to lead these people.
That legitimately is my goal now in the long term, is to get Rob as an MEP of Slovakia.
Yeah, I think we can do it. I think we've got the moxie.
Sold.
That was easy to convince you.
Yeah.
Can it be for that? Can it be for the Communist Party?
Yeah, exactly. The one with the EU army.
EU
right?
army, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we can all get our tanks from Starbucks.
Chinese Starbucks.
Chinese Starbucks.
We'll
yeah.
get flown in because Zeman really likes. He's the Czech Republic again. God damn it. Okay, undo the velvet divorce. Make it one country again.
Rob, you can do this when you're the MEP of this country. This thing that they don't want to happen, you can make it happen, baby.
But anyway, speaking of the Habsburgs, incredibly inbred people and the CSU, that kind of leads us to the wider topic, I guess. I see in your notebook you have Grinnell written down here. What's going on with Grinnell? You mentioned him briefly.
But all right. We can back up. I don't know if everyone knows who he is. He's the ambassador to Germany from the U.S.
Mm-hmm.
And he is exactly what I mean when I say the political
He's a thought, he's a pog.
The political culture in Europe and the United States is different because, and partly this is just new once Trump has been elected, but many forces were leading to Trump, obviously. Yeah. And they're being exported to Europe in a variety of ways. I mean, you can see this in the way that the AfD just like copies the United States methods, and not to say it's like it means it's fundamentally American. It's been incubated. I mean, if you want to get really big brain, like the whole fucking colonial project is incubating shit over in the Americas to take back to Europe. Shout out Benedict Anderson. Richard Grinnell, as is just this new breed of Trump conservative, just short circuits everything about Germans. They don't understand it. They're like, why is he going on TV and saying stop doing deals with Iran? He's supposed to go through the proper channels, and they're just like melting down, like their brains exploding. Because it's a form of politics that doesn't exist. Everything is technocratic. That was the word I was looking for, by the way. Like top down. Like this a beautiful little system that we made. We worked very hard on it, and now you're trying to knock it over. But the reason he came up, the reason he was in the news, not to get too American on here, it'll be a brief detour, I promise, is that Pete Buttigieg's campaign manager, who appears to be a walking psychopath, doesn't care about anything.
Like Pete Buttigieg.
Yeah, they're a good match. Yeah, she and if you don't know about the Buttigieg campaign, it's Macron times supercharged in the U.S. I don't think it'll win because again, it's different dynamics.
Just all the shit that's come.
But it might happen eventually.
Well, no, the Pete Buttigieg campaign is pretty much over because it was that there's just been all this stuff about him.
Record scratch. 5 months later.
That's me.
President Buttigieg. I'm bowing before his statue that then is in front of Brandenburger Tor.
Probably wondering how I got here. It all started in the summer of 1979.
Apparently, though, his campaign is like spiraling downward after the fact that he just faked people supporting him. Like black activists were one of the big ones.
Oh, good.
And Black Lives Matter have been very openly against him. And then Pete Buttigieg did this whole about face where he's like, "Oh, black people don't actually support me because they're homophobic."
That was his line from the beginning. Anyway, I haven't seen his numbers go down. The point is,
sorry.
Well, and that's the other thing too about his numbers is that then all the places that then are being taken are these incredibly small polling things that then magically just popped up out of nowhere. within like a 2-month period. I think that then whoever's calling and then getting the poll, like, because polls are done still by fucking landlines in the United States. At least Germany has the audacity to call on a cell phone.
Romanian Antifa has left the chat. Danish, I like listening to podcasts about Europe, has left the chat. Are we done?
I have one last thing. I can lead it back to Europe.
Yeah, but the only thing that then I wanted to say is that the thing with Buttigieg is I think that because of how rigged it is in the United States with the mechanism to get a lib who is like Hillary Clinton back into it, I think that the polls are specifically then targeted of then people who voted Clinton in neighborhoods last year in these areas to then make, because it's like the polling numbers, Kieran being a nerd, the largest poll that I saw that has been polled on a large national, not a national, but on a large poll in the United States was 1,000 people.
Yeah.
And then on a national scale, it was 12,000 people, which is... You can't rely on any of these. The margin of error is also past 5 on all of these, which means that you can throw every single poll away in the United States. Back to Europe.
So I really did hope that Buttigieg would become the president because he is very much an American Macron, and then that would just lead to like constant insurrection in the United States happening nonstop. That'd be great.
For the same reason that Buttigieg won't get elected is the same reason why there would absolutely not be constant agitation against Buttigieg. I'm not saying the U.S. is I've more hope than other people, but it's just it wouldn't happen like that. We have to return to this topic of the what the political culture enables. But the point is, this little fucking monsters campaign manager is very good friends with Richard Grenell, and they I don't know, there's several tweets of photos of them together, like my favorite Democrat, and then just smiling and adding each other on Twitter, like great job,
Missy babes.
Keep up the good work. And people in the US have pointed out, like, she is friends with this right-wing, neo-Nazi adjacent Trump supporter, which all true. But I thought it was worth...
Didn't he try to support the AFD recently or something?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah,
he just... Cool. But, like, what's funny about that...
I don't think he supported them. He's like, I get them. Like, I see you, King.
Are we going to do the reading series, or are we just going to talk about it?
No, we can do the reading series.
Right. But my whole thesis on Richard Grenell, again, he is a right-wing monster, but he's a particular... The reason he's all the more terrifying to Germans because of this particularly politically mutated version of politics that he has, which is this right wing, what the Europeans and many in the U.S. are falsely calling populism, because it's I don't
everything I don't like is populism.
It's not the right characterization.
Populism tarts.
It's like I don't know what you want to call it. It's the right wing, but they just kind of like delight in a little more being more evil. Like you don't have to apologize for it anymore. And what's funny about Grenell, I'm not going to look up his Twitter bio, but it's something like his photo is like clearly a selfie of him. He's very tan skin and like Oakley sunglasses, and his bio is just like, I love my dog. My cancer made me stronger. You think I'm exaggerating, but it's literally
Is he
that.
in a truck?
No, he's not. He's an Orange County guy, so he's just sitting in his backyard or something.
So he's in like a Mazda Miata then.
And so I can just, picture this. You, dear listener, have heard enough about our American-European connections that you can probably imagine. This guy, sent by Trump, he shows up in Germany. If you go to his Instagram, it's just photos of like his dog in front of Brandenburg Gate, and he's like, I love my job. And I can imagine, and we're going to get into the Spiegel reading series. They've done 2, at least that I've seen. These are kind of old from last year. Just like stammering, just like the way he's just like not going to the meetings, or he's not cultivating the relationships that Obama's ambassadors did. And there's just like kind of like stammering. Can he do that? Really? Which I think captures exactly what I was trying to say, this kind of technocratic version of government that's obviously failing. That in the question, I do think a kind of more American style of just endless conversation of political topics will replace it. But you should it's interesting to see the shift happening in real time.
Well, I think that then too, before you get into this beautiful article that you're going to read us, that I've not read yet, and I'm very excited to, I've not seen a country be more like upset that Obama's gone than just like mainstream German libs. Holy like it's like you could tell them that like Obama, had the largest deportation in U.S. history, and that he in U.S. history, but in modern U.S. history, and that he was a fucking maniac with his triple tap fucking drone strikes, and they do not care, because when he comes into town, or he pats Greta Thunberg on the back and says, good job, where the fuck it is, like, German media goes fucking bonkers, like he's like the Beatles in like the 1960s. Like, he can't do anything wrong, and and I think that the way that you're describing that, of like that being broken for German mainstream media, is this like they just want to go back to the good old times.
This is so crucial. The Obama example actually is the key example. Because Obama is not only for the United States, where he was like the promise of like, oh, we're better than whatever Bush or whatever, we can be like Obama. That is absolutely the promise that has always been given to Europe and to Germany from, I don't know, the U.S., the rest of Western Europe, that all you need is just this cool person. Like, there are several articles, I want to say in Die Zeit.
It has to be some just like
about how like
neoliberal shit.
Merkel's fine and all, but I wish we had a funny president. Have you ever seen the
got me feeling like German Obama?
the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and the way Obama gets up there and makes jokes? Oh my God! Like, if only we could have that. And that's what's
What were their thoughts on
so crucial?
What were their thoughts on your man running for SPD leadership?
Oh, that's a good point. Because that's an interesting wrinkle. Yeah. Because he's not in the political system as such. He is definitely like this outsider in the way it can be defined in Germany. Yeah. But he does push all the right buttons that they want to be pushed.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. Okay. It's to be seen. But the figure of Obama is the perfect capstone to like this. Our beautiful system is on rails, and there's not like all these bad things. And finally, we can lean into this kind of like political culture where we can stand our not a queen, but stand our Obama, and we can like be so excited and do our memes. We don't have to just be this, and still do the technocratic politics. But then we have this figure we can just be like,
Germany can finally get rage comics. They haven't been allowed because Merkel's been Kanzlerin, but elect Jan Böhmermann in Germany will get rage comics.
I'm excited.
But instead,
darf ich einen Cheeseburger haben?
I get that.
Well, I might as well say now. So part of this theory, I don't think I've ever said on the podcast before, and I don't mean it in a negative way. Allow me to explain. Is that not everything. Culture, certain aspects of culture in Germany are exactly 10 years behind the U.S. And I don't mean...
darf ich Cheeseburger haben.
and I don't mean that you're fucking behind us, we're morally superior. I mean, the American virus is spreading, and it's about a 10-year delay. It's about 10 light years away. That's just the way it's arriving in waves.
So you're seeing,
and of course, it has a material basis, because if you look at Bill Clinton and like the triumph of a certain kind of democratic neoliberalism that was in the 90s, and you have Gerhard Schröder in 2003 doing the same thing, and whatever process that kicked off in the United States, and I guess you could say in the UK, that's just happening to Germany, not necessarily even imported from the US. It can also organically, although the US and other Western countries play a big role. The same thing is happening in Germany, just with a delayed effect.
Yeah.
And so if you look at, memes, my argument now is that all the memes in Germany are like the memes 10 years ago in the US.
So does that mean...
Please, all right, actually, to verify my research, I'm calling on all listeners to send me their favorite German memes, and I will classify them according to
what year
where they fit. Yeah, exactly. For example...
Okay.
E-Bims, whatever, all that shit.
I has cheeseburgers.
And has cheeseburgers.
Fuck! Sorry for being so loud.
Another one off the top of my head, the Bielefeld doesn't exist. That is Gingers Have No Souls. Same thing.
Cool,
there are about as many gingers in the U.S. as residents of Bielefeld.
That was a really old meme in the States as well. Of
It
like
was
Finland doesn't exist or Australia doesn't exist. Yeah.
So then, but there's different.
What's then going to be like the
there's different vectors of
toilet
exchange.
paper debate? That
I liked the Australian didn't exist meme because it kind of anti-colonialist at its root, because it was like, what, you're telling me there's like a country of white blonde people in Asia? What?
I'm just waiting for culturally then when Germany first off gets their best rapper, aka German Paul Wall, and also when is the Playboy Cardi baby voice going to come into German rap? I really need that.
I do feel like there was like a nexus point of when like these two did meet, and it was probably by coincidence, which was the Numa Numa song, because that is just laughing at Romanians, which I feel like Germany does very well.
So all of this there's nothing about it that's inherently good, because it is all spectacular politics. It's not any real politics or struggle or any real democracy. I think it can be interesting because it's a change, and then at any moment of change, you can kind of realize that they don't have to be the way they are. Something could happen. But by themselves, just this moment of change, cultural change, like, oh, we can say this now, and people are, this is changing. If without any real, actual, political backing, it redounds to the right wing, and it redounds to then that's basically what leads to the AfD, who is about in this timeline 10 years after the rise of the Tea Party in the US, where they can claim to challenge the system, but what they're challenging is using a new language to say the same things, which is exactly what the Tea Party was in the US. You have all these billionaires funneling the money in, like, well, this is where it's at now. This is going to be the new path. It's still the same goal, but we can say it in these new ways, and you can have this spectacular understanding of like, oh, we're doing things differently now. Which leads us to Richard Grinnell. So the article I'm looking at is from Spiegel Online. Trump's ambassador finds few friends in Germany.
No new friends.
Konstantin von Hammerstein.
What the fuck is that name?
I didn't make that up.
I love that.
Sure, is it like a Nazi SS general that we just like made up out of like?
No. Konstantin von Hammerstein is my favorite Rammstein cover band.
Yeah, exactly, a fake Nazi SS general.
I wish Spiegel was like the Guardian, where they just had their face. You could just see those guys.
Oh my god! Imagine if they had like the things of
the
like
giant Habsburg jaw.
Giant fucking Habsburg jaw, and then just like the articles being like, I feel bad that the people who clean my house are Roma and Sinti. I don't want them to touch my things.
I feel, you've lost your working class roots when you have to like yell into your house to make sure the Romanian who cleans it isn't there anymore.
His other articles, I'm just.
Is it bad that my family created all their wealth in the concentration camp?
Germany has
that would be a good op-ed paper. Like,
oh, that is an op-ed paper that exists. For a fucking
Germany
fact.
hasn't apologized for the Herero genocide, and neither will my family.
Okay.
I like we need to auto-generate more like German op-eds.
Yeah, we need a big wheel, a board we can throw a dart at. A D20 die. All right. So I'm not going to read the whole beginning, but he's on Tucker Carlson's Fox News show.
King.
And it's just talking about all of the
ancient aliens and migrants.
Talking about how the Daily Stormer has described Tucker Carlson as literally our greatest ally. Donald Trump watches it, all this shit.
The person who serves me sandwiches at Subway has turned 2% Mexican over the last 10 years.
Richard Grinnell was on the show talking about stuff. The ambassador made it clear in just a few sentences how little he thought of the chancellor's refugee policy. There was no plan in place, he said, so the policy really fell apart. He claimed that anyone calling for secure borders in Germany today faces an overreaction. The discourse is largely being controlled by elites in Berlin, and he argued that anyone who speaks openly about the issue runs the risk of being portrayed as being part of the radical far right by the German media.
Because they probably...
Again, he is part of the radical far right. Let's move on. Okay, and then what he says is Sebastian Kurz, on the other hand, won in a big way because he's willing to speak out to everyday Germans and Europeans who were yearning for leaders who want secure borders. Okay.
I think it's just that because Austria is just full of like horny old women who just thought he was sexy.
Just go. I mean, Richard Grenell, you could.
Let's grab him by the ears.
Sad that he's not ambassador to Austria. Maybe he could be having more fun.
Fucking leave.
Also, I mean, this is a whole. You can speak better to this, Nick. There's an enormous cottage industry of people going on Fox News and being like, Europe, it's a hellhole.
Like, oh my God. Yeah. I literally, when I first moved here, my mom was like, Nick, do you live in a no-go zone? And I was like, yes, I do.
Don't come here.
Don't come here. And then, no, but
that's a pretty good excuse, though. Mom's
yeah,
like,
no.
Hey, can I come? You're like, sorry, it's a no-go zone, Mom.
Yeah, that's halal. You can't have that.
Yeah.
Okay, but the difference is because I remember when I was living in Chicago, there was also something from like the French government where they're like, do not go south of 41st Street in Chicago. It's like 2/3 of the city. No, that's an exaggeration. Half the city. But what's different is that they just say that and it's just on some, official French website. And so French tourists are like, all right, I'm not going there.
Yep.
But it's a huge industry on Fox News where I think there's a conventional wisdom in the US that like Americans just care about America. They don't want to hear about the rest of the world. But this is absolutely, you could say maybe it's changing on the left, but it is absolutely bigger and changing faster on the right where there's a huge industry of connecting like what's going on in here. That's why, I mean, the whole... you can only call it a meme of the white genocide in South Africa. That's partly why it got so much traction because they're like, there are white people in the other parts of the world too. We got to hear about them.
There's just one more thing about like America's like view of like Europe and the world is that I had on my YouTube suggested to me of like what was like I don't know Wired video something like that. It was like we sit down with an FBI agent to talk about blending in as an American, and it was like this thing of just video. Like this like woman just being a fucking psychopath, being like you need to walk or like pick up smoking, do these things that Europeans do, put a rock in your shoe so you walk differently, so you don't walk like an American. It's like no one bothers you, like no one
put a rock in your shoe.
Literally, she fucking suggests that, and she literally does a fucking thing of like Americans walk like this and Europeans walk like this.
All right, guys, we all laugh now, but we're gonna go like Späti tour to the Czech Republic, and they're all doing it. We're just like, well, eggs on our face.
I'm dragging my leg like I've been shot, like I'm doing the stanky leg dance. Yeah. All the Germans are looking at me, and I'm just like, not mine.
Walking around like I've been shot, being like, I can't be an FBI agent. Would an FBI agent be shot?
Yeah, but yeah, like Americans have this just weird fucking psychosis of thinking that like everyone's out to fucking get me. Like no one cares. You're Americans. If any Americans listening to the show, you're not more annoying or worse than the British or the Australians. You're fine. It's okay.
Yeah. You're much more polite.
You're much more polite. I love having American guests come at the hotel that I work at because they're far more friendly than the Germans are. They actually tip. They're genuinely nice people most of the time. No one in Europe hates you. Frankly, I hate the Germans more than I hate Americans.
Keep going there, Rob.
So, this is all leading us to, all right, where Der Spiegel starts to say, I don't know if this is okay. Grenell's TV interview was a thinly veiled call for a change of government in Berlin.
Yes.
It was akin to a German ambassador in Washington attacking the American president's immigration policy on German public television and then touting Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau as a role model. First of all, completely unwieldy analogy. I don't know who.
I lost track of it halfway through. But also, like, did he? I guess, yeah, he did call for like, oh, I love Sebastian Kurz because he's a thought. But like, I don't know. This seems. I wish people were calling for a coup d'etat in Germany. That'd be fucking hilarious.
But the thing is,
I don't, because it would just be the AFD then in power.
It would be AFD, and we'd have to like genocide like all the fucking Turingans or something.
What's so funny to me is that this is just like, can you imagine someone touting Justin Trudeau while he was an ambassador to America? Like, all right. It gets more serious.
Isn't that like what Germany does in the U.S. right now? Like that. I'm being serious. Like
maybe not Germany, but some European countries have gotten
why can't you guys be like the nice guy who's really mean to indigenous people?
Yeah, basically we've had some like Yas Queen moments on like, oh, the Belgian ambassador really prefers Kamala Harris over Trump, like some shit like that.
Oh no, the fucking ambassador from the Czech Republic is 100% Yang gang.
Yeah, the Dutch Prime Minister, the Dutch ambassador to the Netherlands is really impressed with Kamala Harris's blackface.
Yeah, Finland's really big on Kirsten Gillibrand. Okay, the beginning. If you thought that was over the top, the beginning of the next paragraph. Article 41 of the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relationships obligates diplomats to refrain from meddling in their guest country's domestic affairs. Their duty is to cultivate discreet contacts within the country's government apparatus and to further their own government's positions.
Grinnell!
Mods.
I'm sorry, but this
is so German. Like, oh my God.
fucking Vienna Convention.
It keeps going. Barack Obama's ambassador, Philip Murphy, invited longtime adversaries Helmut Kohl and Merkel to his dining room in 2012 for discreet talks aimed at reducing the tensions between them. By the time
what?
Orgy.
Helmut Kohl and Angela
orgy.
Merkel? What?
Orgy.
By the
Discreet
ti-
talks. Orgy.
They're both in the same party.
Cheese pizza.
oh. Yeah. By the time I lost my spot. Oh, yeah. By the time his tenure was over after 4 years, he had made so many friends that he had to rent out the Olympic Stadium for his goodbye party. Grinnell has taken a different path. So,
Big orgy.
all right, here we go. Spiegel guide to being a good ambassador. You got to make a lot of friends, and you have to be discreet.
Yes, discreet. That's important.
What would Ghislaine Maxwell say right now?
Venetian
She would not
masks.
invite you to the back room.
Discreet. Venetian masks.
What is? Yeah. What does Grinnell fucking order when he goes to Comet Ping Pong? He just probably goes and just like, yes,
Tune into the
I
next
want to fuck
Tucker
the kids.
Carlson.
Grinnell checks in on Foursquare. He's the only person still using
All
Foursquare.
right, guys, hold these thoughts because Grinnell's sexuality will be discussed later on.
What? What is this article?
Well, yeah, he's openly gay.
And Der Spiegel finds this like, gloves are off when it comes to the right wing.
Oh, no.
So on the day that Grinnell took up his post, he tweeted that German companies doing business in Iran should wind down operations immediately. All right, we got tweets. That's a no in the
Can't do that.
in the the way things are run here.
You're
In the what is it? Diskursdebatte or
the German rules for doing political Twitter is you're only allowed to retweet press releases. That's it.
And you just like do like genau.
Good now.
Herr Granell, maybe you don't understand how we do it here in Germany. You write in the op-ed, and then you debate Jürgen Habermas, and then 5 years later we call it der Botschaftsstreit,
Yeah.
and then you can be a neo-Nazi.
Yeah.
You must go to the proper diplomatic channels.
Jürgen Habermas is only kept alive. he's on a fucking IV drip just to fucking debate these dipshits.
Look, we discovered immortality ages ago, but it's purely for him.
Deep L in the German company is actually working on a Jürgen Habermas app that's just like
He's gonna go on German Jeopardy and fucking win.
boop boop public square boop boop democracy boop boop discussion.
I find it tragic that even his job isn't safe from automation.
A little side note: we had to read Jürgen Habermas's op-ed about the NATO bombing in Serbia, and he had some strong thoughts. In one quote, and all right, this is just a little teaser.
Slobodan Milosevic
One
did
quote
nothing wrong.
it was saying that it was the opposite, that the bombing was good. But he used the phrase, "There is a neurotic attachment to sovereignty," which is like
his arguments then always used. His argument's always used by libs as like that sense of like
nice phrase, bro.
Yeah.
I feel like that adequately describes the Poles in the 40s. They're just really into this whole being their own country thing. It's weird.
So he tweeted this. Martin Schulz, the former head of the center-left Social Democratic Party, compared Grinnell's behavior to that of a, quote, right-wing extremist colonial officer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Opposed to those left-wing colonial.
Wait, what? Like, I thought the colonial officer fits all those things.
Martin Schulz he wants to be a left-wing colonial officer. That's why he had to make the distinction.
It's called the NKVD. It's cool.
Germany hasn't apologized for the Euro genocide, neither will my family.
4 weeks later in
Or
Breitbart.
I imagine the other one of being like, "Oh, my family got a fucking castle stolen by Stalin, and I'll never forgive him."
Well, that would happen on Twitter. That's the Twitter energy.
Yeah, but
It's
I
like
could
some
imagine. I
20-year-olds.
could imagine then like a person then from like I don't know, Belarus or something like that, being like communism destroyed my family, who was we had to give back our slaves.
Yes, I have. Stay tuned to Megarika, I guess.
So, 4 weeks later in Breitbart, the main organ of the pro-Trump right-wing alt-right movement, Grinnell essentially called for regime change. I absolutely want to empower other conservatives throughout Europe, he said.
Yes. Cut down the tall trees. Cut down the tall vine ox, boy.
Another paragraph later, it asks several sources like what is it like with Grinnell working with him? You have to interact with him, and I think they're all off the anonymous sources.
We scanned Glassdoor.com.
Almost all of these sources paint an unflattering portrait of the ambassador, one remarkably similar to Donald Trump, the man who sent him to Berlin. A majority of them describe Grinnell as a vain, narcissistic person who dishes out aggressively but can barely handle criticism. His brash demeanor, some claim, hides a deep insecurity, and they say he thirsts for the approval of others. After one of his appearances, we were told, he asked almost shyly how he had done.
This is a person who's completely different from me, someone who breaks down after getting 12 replies on my Twitter posts in the period of 14 hours. Yeah.
This is, I'm jumping between two articles now, but I'm just kind of getting at this characterization they have of this, again, neo-Nazi adjacent right-wing psycho. Here's how they go after him.
Your dog is having a sneezing fit. It's the most adorable thing I've seen today.
Aww. Inconsistent is a word with many meanings. Unstable, fickle, and contradictory, to name just a few. But none of these would normally be attributed to a top-flight diplomat. The new American ambassador in Berlin, Richard Grinnell, though, says that he is very inconsistent. These days, it's the hawks who are calling the shots on White House foreign policy. Richard Grinnell is also a hawk, albeit a flamboyant one.
Oh, God, no.
3 days before the luncheon.
Yes!
Grinnell landed in Berlin.
It's okay when they're my enemy.
Grinnell landed in Berlin with his partner, Matt Lashy, who develops health apps, their blue lacy dog, Lola, and 7 suitcases and bags, one emblazoned with his initials, RG.
Okay,
Dude, this is how, like every fucking fancy person travels.
To be fair, this sounds like a deeply evil couple.
I'm
the American ambassador to Germany, and my husband makes health apps. Fuck off.
They're just waiting to use the German F word, which is the S word.
Ooh. Please don't teach me swears.
I'm not going to. Don't worry.
I will say it incorrectly.
I love the just like how quick libs are to just like dish out homophobia when like you said, like, oh, it's okay when we do it when it's when it's my enemies.
Yeah.
And because that's the whole thing with like the Trump and Putin, being a gay with each other. And it's really like, because then they're always like going on the tongue of like, oh, can you believe it? Then like that at least in the U.S. I don't know how it is like I guess in Germany it's the exact same.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, no, I'm for gay rights, but my only insult to Trump is that he's gay with Putin. Isn't that fucking crazy? Haha, gay people. That's wild, isn't it? And Spiegel Online literally just like, is that Spiegel Online? Yeah. Like the classiest of Spiegel publications. That's their own, like, so far that has been their only actual criticism of him, is that then he brought too much luggage and
that he's not cool and nice like the Obama's ambassador.
Yeah, but like they're all of that same school of just being just psychopaths. Like there isn't like, okay, maybe like the ideology is slightly different, but in the end, like I think that again, this is just kind of like the thing with Trump that not that I like it, but I like that it exists, if that makes any sense. Is that then it's just kind of like mask off all the time of like the role of the president's stupid, the role of these things are really dumb and stupid. A nation doesn't actually have to fucking listen to these. But at the same time, like they give them like this article is giving Richard Grinnell more power than fucking anything, because I would not have known that he existed if Rob didn't mention, this beautiful article to me. If he didn't speak at my university.
I think it's perfectly fair to complain about the new guy being a bit shit, considering the last guy rented out an Olympic Stadium for all of his friends, all 23.
That's also not normal. Like, that's worse.
Yeah, that is
that's
worse.
Legitimately worse.
I thought,
look, I got 80 fucking thousand friends. Like, Berlin, do you love me, baby? One last night.
We were all paid to be there.
I guarantee it that they were.
Yeah.
and I think you make the right point because he is clearly just like a rich shithead.
Yep.
I thought there was more homophobic stuff. But not really. They just mentioned on Instagram. He's always on Instagram because he's ambassadors be posting instead of doing diplomatic meetings.
I feel like bringing up the fact that he's always on Instagram is kind of maybe coded as you're being a bit too feminine or whatever. Because
they mentioned they have a photo on the wall of a drag queen by celebrity photographer Magnus Hastings.
Hey, this is all stuff that's
you can accompany Grinnell to a Britney Spears concert.
This is all just pointing at the fact of like that they really want to say the F word.
Yeah, because like none of this stuff would get mentioned if it was fucking Jack Johnson or the fuck. Like, what's the straight Coldplay? Yeah, because it's just. Like this stuff is getting mentioned because they feel it is worth note.
Let's transition to which Der Spiegel also points out, his relationship with the AfD.
Oh, good.
Grinnell is well liked among the right-wing populist party Alternative for Germany. When he visited the Committee on the Affairs of the European Union in the German Parliament last October, he was welcomed with applause by AfD members, and AfD parliamentarians posed for selfies with the ambassador at the embassy's 4th of July party in Berlin. Embassy staff made it clear to the ambassador that it would be counterproductive to set up an official meeting with the AfD. But Grinnell isn't shy about consorting with the right wing. In early September, he was a guest at an annual dinner held by the Achse des Guten, or Axis of Good, a blog run by the journalists Henrik M. Broder and Dirk Maxseiner. I guess that's how you say it.
They were in fact not good.
Oh no.
Narrator voice. That sees itself as a counterbalance to the allegedly left-wing mainstream media.
Ah, yes.
It offers an intellectual home to Islamophobes, Merkel haters, and EU skeptics.
All the same thing.
Yeah, literally.
It goes into, it describes one of the events. Do you guys know who Henrik Broder is? Do we need to talk about him?
Oh, no, I do not know who he is.
We definitely need an intro for that. For the audience, anyway. Henrik Broder.
It mentions it at the end, so I'll do it then.
Okay.
Here's just an event that they did together. The event took place in Berlin's Moabit neighborhood in a historic tram depot now filled with classic cars. I don't know where that is. The audience,
Wait. You're saying that Nazis mentioned a train depot?
Ooh, actually, the memorial where the fucking Nazis deported from Berlin is in Moabit. So
yeah, but Nazis met in a train depot.
Well, let's hear who was there. The audience listening to Grinnell's address that evening included Thilo Sarrazin. I don't actually know how to say his name. Sarrazin, the SPD guy who wrote the book.
Yeah.
Infamous for authoring a bitingly critical book about Islam in Germany. Okay, that's a bitingly critical makes it sound like it
has some good points.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
In the
Is that the one who then wrote about like Parallelgesellschaften and stuff like that?
Yeah,
that there's
he had the big book.
That there's like an Islamic underworld in Germany.
Yeah.
That like a fifth column. Is that anything like Osama bin Laden's mountain base?
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Which is under all of Germany.
It's actually underneath fucking Victoria Park in
nice.
Kreuzberg.
Yeah, cool.
That's where his
I
mountain
always
is.
knew that.
And the former East German human rights activist Vera Lengsfeld, who left the CDU out of hatred for America and now supports the AfD.
Wait. You're saying that then a person who was an activist within East Germany ended up becoming a Nazi?
Nah, that never happens.
Damn, the tankies were fucking right.
Such appearances have not been well received in political Berlin. In late October, he sent out invitations to a Halloween party at his residence in the Tony neighborhood of Dahlem. The theme for the
come
evening,
dressed as Prince Andrew.
The theme
what's his name? Prince Harry, sorry. Or Prince Andrew now, for that matter.
We're all family. This is the whole thing.
The theme for the evening was superheroes. Oh, did I say that? Grinnell invited several prominent Berlin political figures, but many politicians declined to attend.
They all came as Hitler.
Almost. One of the most prominent invitees who did choose to attend was Henrik M. Broder from the Axis of Good. He came dressed as a Muslim woman in a burqa. That's supposed to be an epic own.
Okay.
If you know who Henrik Broder is.
Because that sounds very misleading because like the theme is superheroes and it's just like a Muslim woman going about her day.
So it's funny we mention the Axis of Good. Maybe you guys want to know a little bit more about that blog. we can't get into the whole blog now, but one of its most famous writers is one Jan Fleischhauer.
Oh, hello, old friend.
King.
I haven't heard his opinions on Richard Grinnell.
I don't know about his opinions about Richard Grinnell. All I know is that our boy has been doing a fucking media frenzy the last week, and I'm so happy to see his face. I'm not happy to see his face again because he is he's tiresome to look at.
He is.
He looks like
A turtle.
he does, but at the same time, he looks like. I can imagine Guy Verhofstadt going to a plastic surgeon and bringing a photo of Jan Fleischhauer and being like, "Can you just like tighten me up so I can look more like this?"
He's like a clothes peg on the back of Jan's face.
Yeah, literally. He literally looks exactly like that. Then his is being kept
all the jowls being pulled back.
Yeah. But
his whole face looks like a whole turtle. Not like a turtle's face, like a whole turtle.
So what is our favorite? You know, our first off returning guest on the show,
Jan Fleischhauer. Play
Jan,
the theme. Oh god, no. But yeah, he was on one this week, and it was mostly me discovering things via like, oh, Jan tweeted again. Highlight text, Google Translate. What the fuck is he saying now? Oh, it's insane. Let me send it to the people who can speak German better. And Nick has been being an absolute hero.
watched all of them.
Yeah,
I watched fucking all of them. They're so good.
So
and bad.
So the main chunk of content, I guess, is that first of all, the CSU has the political successor of the Austro-Hungarian Empire has a podcast now.
They maybe have more listeners than we do. So
I told you all the virus is coming.
Yeah. But who is it? Which one do you describe that then like the CSU is just filled with like these? I know that you said like the Habsburgs, which is these like just rejects of European, just like inbred fucking whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. The guy who interviews him gives off very much these vibes. And so
So wait. So back up. It's a CSU or CDU or both?
CSU. Oh, because our boy now lives in Bavaria.
Yeah.
Also,
he moved.
The CSU's
Bavaria's
fucking
a state of mind.
The CSU's content game. The CSU's content game has been fucking bad, but they've been churning out the fucking shit. Like, because you got your.
But nothing is stuck.
No, nothing's stuck. But like, I'm pretty sure that series hosted by the only closeted gay person in Bavaria is still going. What was that? They're like
CSU.
CSU, yes, as in the English word "you" because it's on YouTube. Yeah, and that's got like 6 episodes now, and that was like a 12-month delayed response to
to fucking what is it? What's that guy's name?
The blue-haired kid who was like,
yeah. The thing that so now that the CSU has their own podcast on CSU TV. Yeah. That's the YouTube page, obviously. So their podcast is in video format. It's really bad. They've had 3 episodes. The 3rd episode, which I watched the entire thing, is with our boy Mr. Jan Meatbeater. And the thing that then really like I was
sorry, Nick, before you go any further, for fairness sake, I should clarify that I am doing audio production for CSU at the moment, just so everyone knows where I'm coming from.
Yeah, I should also say that.
How do you do something you don't understand? That's actually maybe that like is like the benefit on their part. Like, this guy doesn't fucking know the psychotic shit that they're talking about.
I should admit that he hired me as his personal assistant just to say like "nice point, Jan" or like "genau" every time he makes a good point.
Yeah, so just so we know, we're going to be very honest, no conflicts of interest, but it's a really good podcast. Subscribe, 5 stars, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff.
Yeah. To connect with the youth, he wants to be like, look, this
it's
kid,
not though. No.
This kid wants to.
You know what? You're looking at this from the wrong perspective. I don't know what you watched.
I'm getting paid anyway.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what you fucking.
Ohne Scheiß, Herr Fleischhauer.
Yeah. I don't know what you watched, but I watched a very this is the most German fucking thing I've watched recently. Like I've been avoiding German pop, like just German culture as much as I can, and I was just bombarded with our boy because one, he was right about way too much shit, and it really bugged me. But he's right for all like these just like perverted reasons because he is Jan. Like that's the thing that bugs me so much about Jan Fleischhauer is that he's not dumb. You can look at like a David Brooks in the U.S. and be like, this guy's just fucking stupid. Jan Fleischhauer is like really calculated and will like give credit where credit's due. At the end of the day, though, he's just a misogynist, racist piece of shit, and he knows it, and he's like really proud of that. And in the U.S., you have the thing of like, yo, I'm not racist. I just, I just kind of fuck with Trump, or I fuck with this, or I fuck with the policy of the Democratic Party. Where Jan Fleischhauer just like it will go out and just he obviously won't say he's racist, but he'll say that then like, oh, the real problem of Germany is over integration. Which is just like a fucking made-up nonsensical thing that then just doesn't exist.
Jan Fleischhauer has a
the guy at my kebab shop is too German.
He is a very tortured inner life because you could tell like he wants to be way free. More. He wants to. Let's put it this way: he wants to have more. He wants to do more with his racism than just write a column. But I think he feels like he was born in the wrong era. You know those memes where people are like. Born too late to explore the world, born too early to explore the universe. Yeah. Jan Fleischer feels that way, but about like the Nazis and like a future, like Turner Diaries future. He's like, God, I wish I were a Nazi.
Yeah, Jan Fleischer is
why was I born in fucking the green link Uko?
Yeah, because like that's exactly perfect that you mentioned that because Jan Fleischer mentions that then like he made his dues in the left. To be fair, he did. He grew up within a left-wing family. He went to demonstrations and all this. And then at the end of it, he's just all like, oh, yeah, we were shot with fire hoses. And I realized that that's actually good for me. And it's just like, wait, what? And then
Sati, yes.
Yeah, and then the fucking the CSUTV moderator just responds back to him like, do you think all kids should have that happen to them?
Yes. All the very bad non-Bavarian boys should be
shot with fucking Wasserwerfer. What do they call fire hoses?
There's this great tactic coming out of Chile now where all the young kids are being shot in the eye, but with rubber bullets, so it's fine. Oof.
So what else do we have to learn from this video?
And then it just really like I think the way of describing that he really like he saw this from afar is now a part of it, and then like I wouldn't say that then he's just gonna go and just like, damn, I fucking wish I lived in 1933. But I do think that then he's just waiting for that moment when like the AfD reaches like a national poll of like a fourth of German votes and being just like, yep, baby, I'm here. Welcome home.
You guys ever like you know that advice? It's like if you're mad at someone, like write a letter and then don't send it.
That.
He has his AfD triumphant declaration, and he probably has a Reichstag fire-esque post too. They're just sitting on his hard drive. He's like, he just wakes up every morning like.
Greta Thunberg fucking burned down the Reichstag.
He has a blog post like, you know what? Maybe it was okay that Greta Thunberg was assassinated. He's just like, he wakes up every morning like, maybe today I can hit submit.
Yeah, no, he literally, speaking of Greta in that interview, he's like, you know what? I don't agree with her, but I respect her. And that's definitely then the thing that then he's saying that shit to then like the day that then something like that happens, be like, you know what? Like, I have the right to fucking talk about this shit because although being someone who was on the other side of the political aisle, I can then talk about this. But yeah, so there was that. And then he also then has this like focus thing where then he was talking about the SPD, the new leadership thing, and he had to fucking come double whammy with classic Fleischhauer, where it's like, all right, misogyny, cool. The potential head of the SPD reminds me of a teacher who like wanted to fail me, because she was a woman, and she's like, no matter how hard you try, she's gonna fucking give you a 5, which is an equivalent of an F in the U.S. And then the other guy. He was like, oh, you know what? Like, first off, boy's a fucking pussy. Has 2 last names. That's for girls. That's some pussy shit. We don't do that in manly Germany. Yeah. Second, he then also then said that because I forget the guy of the SPD, and to be very fair, I don't care. It's the SPD. They're a party that's just in like a death spiral.
That whole new leadership thing fucking fell on its ass so fucking quickly.
Oh yeah, it should be made fun of.
Yeah,
and we will probably never get around to it. I don't care, but so then he mentions in the sense of that he was the former finance minister of Nordrhein-Westfalen. And he's like, really? Like, being the finance minister of NFE? That's like being the head of an Italian bank. So, boom! Italy,
got the Italians.
misogyny.
It's
in a 3-minute clip.
It's the Jan Fleischhauer classic.
Yeah, it's the fucking Jan Fleischhauer double tap.
Yeah. So, like, I do feel, every cuisine has that at the beginning. You have your, like, 3 main ingredients, the 3 vegetables that you sweat at the beginning. The like Louisiana tricolor is like celery, pepper, onion, right? For Jan Fleischhauer, it's misogyny, anti-Italian sentiment, and possibly some sort of turtle meat. So, like, I just wanted, this was a couple of days ago I sent this podcast to you, and we do have some like live reactions from you, and I'm just like going back to kind of remember them. You were.
Oh yeah, true. I did.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. So I'm just like, you were pointing out that he was so fucking happy to be sitting down with the CSU guy, like with these people. He seemed to be very happy about it.
Oh yeah. He's home, baby.
Nice.
He was living in Berlin for too long. He's back in Bavaria. He never lived in Bavaria beforehand, but
yeah, I can't imagine this is his.
It's like Jan Fleischhauer is like the Drake of Germany. That then he'll just like go up to like anyone who's like slightly more right wing than like Angela Merkel and is like, baby, like, I've always been here. I've always felt home in the fucking CSU. I've always felt home in fucking like Drake went to like Houston or whatever. It was like, yo, I've always felt home in Houston, like, in Toronto. Always felt home in fucking Toronto. Always felt home in fucking, I don't know what.
Stockholm.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Jan Fleischhauer definitely does.
Ulaanbaatar.
Yeah, Jan Fleischhauer definitely is like, he's gonna fucking guarantee you we're gonna get the fucking op-ed with the AfD being like, damn, I was like, he's gonna do like athletes do it all the time too. Like, yeah, I was just searching around for a team, like we didn't vibe, but now, like we're vibing now. We're our season's looking real good. Like I finally feel home now.
I don't know why, but like, I really just imagine the idea of Drake doing a concert in Ulaanbaatar, the fucking capital of Mongolia, and becoming like a Mongolian Nazbol, and just being like, I've always felt home here in Mongolia. When we're done tonight, there won't be any China anymore. Let's go.
Imagine Drake doing a fucking show in like Ukraine, and then just being like an Azov member, and being like, yeah, like I've always rejected the idea of an independent. Damn it! Wait, what's it fucking called again? Crimea.
Yeah.
Drake just has like a really fucking hot take on Crimea.
Nice.
First of all, John McCain went to Ukraine and tried to be like Drake.
He did. Yeah, he did. It was so fucking cool.
Second of all, the same way Drake would like appropriate or put on a Jamaican accent, Jan Fleischer would just start doing Hitler speeches.
Oh yeah, and they would be like, "Oh, there's our Führer. We love him."
And people would be like, "Is he talking like that? Like on purpose? Does he know?"
But like the other,
I'm just imagining John McCain now in fucking Ukraine being like, I've always felt Ukrainian. My deepest roots. McCain is actually McCainovich. I am a deeply proud Ukrainian neo-Nazi. I'm a patriot. You will get your Stinger missiles.
So the other thing
Crimea is Ukraine.
In Vietnam, they said, we can let you go, but you have to admit that Crimea is not Ukraine.
And I said I would stay for 3 more years.
So we also had the kind of concept that Jan was getting across, that his ideas are now like
mainstream.
And
he's right. He's entirely right.
Yeah.
He does the thing that we did last week about them, like 65% of Germans are afraid to speak their mind. He repeats that as like a refrain throughout his entire the first beginning of the episode, and he's right. That's the thing that's so disturbing about Jan Fleischer, is that he knows how to read the room of Germany, and he knows it then in the sense of like Germans don't like agreeing, or Germans don't like listening and reading like the stuff from ARD, Tagesschau and all that, because it is really poorly filtered down. It is very much this lens of like a very pro EU, pro Western perspective on things. So if you're left wing, you look at it and you're all like I was saying that then with like how the protests that are going on internationally, what Tagesschau is focusing on is very specific to like the Western point of view. And if you're right wing, what Tagesschau focuses on in the sense of, and like not to mention too like the crimes that then like Nazis do, Tagesschau just never reports.
Yeah.
But if you're right wing, for you, the blunders of what Germany's doing now. In terms of like, I don't know. I don't read right wing media in Germany, but I can imagine that then there's also then an equivalent of that. Then if you look at then like the sense of like, okay, for them they always just like harp on Islam all the time, which is so fucking 2016. It's not even like cool anymore.
So 2000 and late.
Yeah, literally. And I don't know what their new grift is at the moment because
I think it's still that.
I mean, like, just the numbers don't add up then in that sense. But they always have the thing of that, like, oh, you know, that there isn't, like, they're talking, like, the best one is, like, the whole, like, Peter Sweden thing. Like, they're not talking about, you know, Sweden the way that it really is and shit like that.
Yeah.
So the right is still going on that and harping on that. But I think that, like, the more... I don't want to say educated right because that sounds like an oxymoron, but half the time. But like, you know, like actual conservatives who can like point at like Merkel's policies and stuff like that and be like, okay, she's wrong here, there. I think that is like a general true fact that most Germans don't like Angela Merkel. Yeah. You know, and Jan Fleischauer can point to that and be like, this is a thing. And yes, that then like the racism too, like most Germans are racist. I would definitely agree with that. And Jan Fleischauer doesn't say that straight up. But when he says it, like, I have controversial opinions that then most Germans agree with, you know that's like in like that's you know it's in there somewhere, and that's the thing that then so bothersome, and that he's then seen as then like an outside voice when he's actually the most mainstream fucking voice in Germany, and he knows that. You know, boomers, I guarantee, like listen to Jan Fleischer and they're like finally some guy who then is on a massive media format that then speaks the way that then I would about these issues, but is like smarter than I am, which he is. He is smarter than most boomers. Yeah. So this is like it's interesting that because when you said he said that quote, that just immediately jumped out to me as some like FPU and like Orban Fidesz shit. Yeah. Because like the FPU had that one election very recently, like I think the election before last with Austria, where they were just like 60% of Austria voted for our policies because they were basically talking about how they'd driven the sensible centre-right party of Austria to the right to basically be their party now. Yeah. And it was interesting because, like, it's been said before by Adam Baltner of Mosaic, who's basically kind of like has the theory that Austria is the future of Germany. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. That we're kind of waiting, as we said before, we're waiting for that like AfD, CDU, probably like state government first. The thing the thing that the CDU said it will never happen. Yeah. And people like Jan Fleischer are proof that it will happen. It will happen very... He's so fucking horny for that. Yeah, they're really horny for it, and they're really, like, it is really much in the sense that then, like, oh, you know, I don't want to do this, but would you rather have the left governing? And he even mentions that in one of the interviews that then he talks about, like, oh, you know, we didn't die with the red, green in Germany, in Berlin, but... He's like, it was close enough to it. Like, it was bad. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, dude, like... I'm just imagining him in his apartment in Berlin before he moved to Bavaria. He probably lives in, like, a fucking loft somewhere. Where he's just lying and just chase long, just being like, they're killing me. I have to go to Bavaria. And the unfortunate thing, though, like the reality of that is, though, that then, let's say that then whatever city is, or whatever state in Germany that is, that then does do a black-blue... coalition does mean potentially death for some people. Oh, yeah. You know, whether it be then deportation, which is incredibly dangerous, or whether it means in like just pushing under the rug neo-Nazi violence that then is already rampant in Germany. Mm-hmm. That's actual, like, I mean, I don't give a shit if Jan Fleischauer is just a big fucking sissy who can't deal with the fact that then like, oh, they're going to appropriate my apartment or whatever, you know, some fucking whatever... Red, or what they're going to threaten to make public transit cheaper. Like Red, Green has threatened these things that then are good for people that then have never gotten to get passed because Germans are too conservative. And the policy of Red, Green has always been the sense of like trying to like reach this like middle that doesn't exist actually between the left parties. And to be fair, the Greens aren't left wing, but still nonetheless like the policies that then the AfD and the CDU would implement would be psychotic. Like, absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and I mean, Jan Fleischhauer can pretend that he's being a victim, but the policies that then he wants and that then he will be underwriting in a year and a half, I guarantee it. You know, you can fucking quote me on this show about that. Will be then that then green light policies that are actually life-threatening for people.
Yeah. But, you know, join us next week when we'll be broadcasting from the reappropriated Jan Fleischhauer apartment in Berlin.
Hell, I bet he has a sick apartment.
And it's now our podcast studio.
I mean, because he is one of those weird Germans who probably has, like, really good taste. You know?
The only thing I want to say is, and I know we're about to end, so we've got to come back to this at another time, but, like, one of the biggest parts of Jan Fleischhauer's right-wing project is to tell you... All right. That's my second point. My first point is exactly what, like, I do think that Germany and Europe is quite, there's a certain conservativeness to it, but it's also because politics here is not in the same way as the US, but also people are alienated from politics for a variety of reasons. I mean, I'm not saying anything controversial when I say it's fucking capitalist bourgeois democracy. It's not real democracy. It might, but people could argue it's closer than the U.S. I mean, certainly Americans.
I think we can all.
They have this, and that. They have 6 parties, and one's communist. Like, you know, you could argue that it's closer or not, but fundamentally, people are alienated from politics, from this thing, politics. The thing that people call politics, they think isn't politics. You know, and so you have that. You have a particular brand in Europe that has a history of why it's the way it is. And there are more forces, whether it's stronger unions or the fact that there are some left-wing parties that can push certain buttons to change things. But the point is that it's changing right now. I mean, who knows what's going to come? I think there are a lot of American-style influences of the kind of ridiculous American version of politics that are coming.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
But Jan Fleischhauer's whole project is, as these forces are changing, to sort of... It's almost like pulling out the tablecloth but keeping all of the glasses on the table. Like, we're going to switch from this, you know, European social democracy system to just a fucking ravaging Americans, you know, more right-wing, you know, from
I think that Germany,
imported from the settler colonial society.
I think that Germany could remain social democratic in this, I mean, and become just more
but
right-wing. I mean, that is what the like, I mean, I know that then, like, people like on the right like to be like, oh, the Nazis were left-wing because they were socialists, but National Socialism, like, was that plan, you know? And I do think that then a lot of people still hold that then as, like,
it's something that we kind of talked about a bit on previously in Europe of, like, ethno-nationalist right-wing, where it's still like a robust social security network.
Finland is this.
Yeah, but it's just for a certain type of people.
Yeah, exactly.
My only point is that as things change, that is a moment, just like when I was talking about, I mean, just from a cultural point of view, when things change, people point out, like, oh, it is kind of a feeling for people, things could be different. And Jan Fleischhauer's whole project is to implement that change while completely smothering any thought that, like, oh, maybe things can be different. So it's like, no, Germans are this way. Germans are conservative. Germans are racist even, and they've always wanted it this way. And
he's not wrong.
But he's not wrong now. But it doesn't mean that can't change.
He's determined.
So his whole point is that this is a fundamental fixed aspect, and that's why we need this different political process.
It's determined,
rather than he's smothering that history while just bringing in one little bit of change that he wants.
The determination then is the thing that then is obviously the problem. But in terms of, like, in terms of being like the sail that they can go with the wind, Jan Fleischhauer fucking knows his audience. And he knows what Germans currently right now are thinking. It obviously doesn't mean that then that there's a political current that then can. I mean, because we can see this happening in the U.S. At least in my personal opinion, that if Bernie gets, like, the nomination, I think that you could turn a lot of heads that then people who did maybe vote, like I do think he's the only candidate then who could then maybe, like, change the winds of, like, how that works.
Absolutely, because it's a rejection. I know it's electoralism, but it's a rejection of politics. It's building labor power. It's
and Germany could have that if you had a fucking party that then would actually do that, because how many fucking, like, there are so many people that then that you run into in this country who are then working class who can like acknowledge these fucking things, and there's just no party that ever represents them. Die Linke is maybe like the only one from the left, but they don't do that great of a job sometimes. But still, nonetheless, is that like there isn't just this like I think I'm unfair speaking for Germans when I say like, oh, they're inherently racist, but the sense of the matter is that, like the only like within this kind of like, you know, false consciousness sort of thing or whatever, then like that's the thing that they turn to, and then like this like, you know, inherent conservatism that then is German, which isn't obviously, is the thing that then becomes personified as in like a norm or then like a counterculture that then is actually quite normalized.
Yeah, the problem is the inherent aspect. Like, not that like Jan would like you to believe that Germans are inherently racist. That
Exactly,
the way
yeah.
things are is the only way it ever could be, and that we just have to kind of cater to it rather than like 63% of Germans want to say the N-word, and maybe that's a problem that should be changed, rather than we just have to just rename our party to the N-word party.
I'll just have one last point, because it is something that Fleischhauer always harps on, which are these certain figures, whether it's fucking Greta Thunberg or Carola Rackete. If you remember, in the U.S. at least, there were all of these. So when Greta came on, you know, the boat and landed, it took a couple of days, but then she was everywhere. Everyone was talking about her. And of course, the right they're like, this is our new person to make memes of.
Yes.
And the right memes about Greta were always like, she would say in her speech, "You're stealing my childhood." And they'd have her, and then the other panel would be like some child, you know, non-white child doing child labor, whether in like some factory or some field. And they're like, "Oh, you really feel like, you know, you say you're oppressed, but you have this." And what that's saying is that anyone who is here, what the right wants to do are make individuals, whether it's Greta or Carola Rackete or anybody, they want them as saviors, because they don't want any possibility that you could identify with them, that you could identify with someone, even though there is a material difference in your problems and your suffering. They want to sever any ability to see something as different, to see political changes happening. Someone like Greta, that's just something she does. There's always going to be some new person doing the thing, and it can't be you, it's always some other person.
Yeah.
And the Rights Project is to get you to see this as just ongoing. You can never really be a part of it. And so you will always be whatever, racist, conservative, European, just embrace it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be that way.
No. You could be, you know, cool, inclusive, and Australian. So,
but it only happen if there's real politics and real
You mean
political struggle.
Realpolitik?
Close.
Shit, damn it.
close, but no potato.
So,
yeah, I guess that's where we'll leave it this week.
yeah, sorry for the mess of an episode.
That was a good mess, though.
Yeah. Oh no, it is
It's a hot mess.
It is a big old hot mess. But yeah, we'll see you all next week.
Bye.
Bye bye.